Good morning, everyone. You're listening to Blue Mountain Morning, where we turn your chaotic news feed into actual zen. It's Friday, March 7th, and I'm here with my incredibly composed friend, Mark.
Morning, Alex, and to all our listeners out there. Though I have to say, you seem unusually chipper today.
Well, funny you should mention that. We got absolutely flooded with messages about yesterday's outro. Can you believe we forgot the jingle? Like, completely forgot it.
The number of emails was honestly impressive. Who knew our little melody had such a devoted following?
I know, right? It's like we committed some terrible podcast crime, but hey, today we're back on track, fully jingle equipped, and ready to help everyone find their morning clarity. And trust me, we've got some fascinating stories to share.
Let's dive into today's headlines, starting with some significant developments in international trade. President Trump has once again shifted course on those controversial tariffs against Mexico and Canada.
Wait, wasn't he just doubling down on those like 2 days ago? I'm getting whiplash here.
That's exactly right. After major pushback from U.S. automakers and a direct conversation with Mexico's president, he's now announcing delays. And speaking of diplomatic developments, there's actually some surprising news regarding Iran.
Oh my God, what now? Please tell me it's not another Twitter showdown.
Actually, quite the opposite. Trump has sent a formal letter to Iranian leadership expressing interest in nuclear deal negotiations. He specifically stated he hopes they'll agree to talks.
That's unexpectedly diplomatic, but hey, moving to something completely different and honestly kind of wild, we've got an Olympic snowboarder who's now on the FBI's most wanted list.
Yes, Ryan Wedding, 43, a former Canadian national team member, is allegedly running a transnational drug trafficking network. Quite a career change from his Olympic days.
And speaking of serious matters, there's some pretty heavy news out of South Carolina today.
Indeed, the state is set to carry out its first firing squad execution in 15 years. It's actually the first use of this method anywhere in the U.S. during that time period.
God, that's intense. Can we maybe end with something slightly less deadly?
Well, there's been some interesting drama in Washington. Trump just told his cabinet secretaries that they, not Elon Musk, have the final say on staffing and policy decisions in their agencies.
Hold up, we needed to clarify that? Like officially clarify that actual government officials are in charge of the government?
Apparently so. According to sources familiar with the matter, it was quite an emphatic message during yesterday's cabinet meeting.
You know what? I think this might be the perfect segue into our next segment, because if there's anything that shows how things are changing in America,
let's talk about a trend that's fundamentally reshaping the American dream: the rise of forever renters.
Oh man, don't even get me started. I was literally just looking at housing prices the other day and nearly choked on my coffee.
The numbers are pretty staggering. We're seeing the highest percentage of long-term renters in modern American history, with homeownership becoming increasingly out of reach for many Americans.
But like, how did we get here? Because I remember my parents telling me if I just saved enough for a down payment.
Well, it's a perfect storm, really. We've got skyrocketing home prices, rising interest rates, and wages that simply haven't kept pace. The median home price has increased about 40% since 2019 alone.
40%? That's insane. No wonder my savings account feels like it's running on a hamster wheel.
And here's where it gets really interesting. This shift is affecting everything from retirement and planning to community structures. When people can't build equity through homeownership, they have to completely reimagine their financial futures.
Wait, but what about all those older folks who keep saying millennials and Gen Z just need to stop buying avocado toast?
If only it were that simple. The reality is, even high-earning professionals are finding themselves priced out of the market. We're talking about people making six figures who still can't afford homes in major metropolitan areas.
So we're basically creating two Americas, one that owns and one that rents.
That's exactly the concern many economists have. And it's not just about wealth building. When people can't put down roots through homeownership, it affects everything from local political engagement to school systems.
Oh God, the schools! I hadn't even thought about how this affects kids.
Right. When families are forced to move frequently due to rent increases or property sales, it creates instability for children's education. Some districts are reporting student turnover rates of up to 30% during a single school year.
This is honestly kind of terrifying. Like, what happens to retirement plans if people can't build equity in a home?
That's the million-dollar question, quite literally. Financial advisors are having to develop completely new strategies for retirement planning that don't rely on home equity. We're seeing a surge in alternative investments and increased dependency on market-based retirement accounts.
So basically, the American dream is just changing?
It's evolving, certainly. But here's an interesting silver lining. we're seeing new forms of community building emerge. Some forever renters are creating strong social networks and support systems that actually challenge traditional notions of what makes a stable community.
That's actually kind of beautiful in a terrifying systemic failure kind of way.
It's adaptation in real time, though it's worth noting that this shift comes with serious implications for wealth inequality and social mobility that we'll need to address as a society. You know, reflecting on all we've discussed about housing, I'm reminded of something profound. Communities aren't just built with bricks and mortar.
Oh my God, yes, like that block party my neighbors organized last month in our apartment complex. We all just showed up for each other.
Exactly. Whether we're renting or owning, it's the connections we forge that truly make a home. Sometimes the strongest foundations aren't made of concrete, but of the relationships we build with those around us.
That's actually really beautiful, Mark, and way less depressing than our usual segments.
In times of constant change, remember, like a mountain stream, we can be both fluid and grounded, adapting while staying true to our course.
That actually gave me chills, Mark.
And that brings us to the end of another Blue Mountain morning. Remember, friends, if you're enjoying our little morning chats,
Little? Mark, we just solved the housing crisis.
well, we talked about it anyway. Hey, if you think someone in your life could use a calming start to their day, why not share the podcast with them?
And don't forget to email us at bluemountainmorningpodcast@gmail.com if you want a shout out for spreading the word. We love hearing from you all.
We'll be back on Monday with more insights, more unhinged Alex moments.
Hey, I was perfectly hinged today.
Sure you were. Take care, everyone, and remember, your morning sets the tone for your entire day. Make it count.